So this is going to seem really random, but I've built an app and I really want to show you it because I think it's pretty cool. And it's all about tracking your environmental impact on a film set. And the way it works is there's two ways you can do it. You can either track things at the actual item, so the camera, the monitors, the lights, or you can do it via all the batteries you're putting in. I'll show you one, then I'll show you the other. And the first thing is doing it via the equipment. So in the app, I can go through and I can pick out of the 450 plus items I've gone through and put in, I can find this camera, the Ursa Mini Pro 4.6K. Select that, good. So I can just collapse that. And now in my monitors, I can find my Atom Sumo, which is this one here. Good. Now they're both on. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start the day. And starting the day is like you turn up on set, you know, nothing's maybe on yet. But the moment things are on, you can then put them on and they start recording. And let's say you had two cameras, two of the same camera. You could go in and you could start one or start just one or have both running. And you can label them cam A, cam B, do whatever you want. But we'll take off one of them. So there we go. Cool. All right, so we have the camera and we have the monitor. And here we've also got the focus motors. So in the focus motors, wherever they are, lens control, you can see I've got all the Arri, C-Force ones, and then I could come down and I could find wherever it is, tilter, nucleus M, and the motor for it. Now, bear in mind that these ones are a little bit trickier. So motors, their power draw changes depending on what's been done. Right now I've set it to like the maximum of what they draw, which maybe I've changed, make it more of an average. But on the whole, every single bit of item, when you're logging it from the actual item, the power draw changes. So it's not super 100% accurate, but it's 100% more accurate than what everyone is doing now, which is just guessing afterwards. The battery mode is 100% accurate, but I'll come to that. So the big thing is really lights, right? Like tracking your light power is quite hard because the lights are turning off and on. And what I can do is I can come into my lighting and I can search. So that's a tungsten, so that's an Arri T2. So I can find that, wherever that is. There it is. And have that on. And then I've got two apertures here, exactly the same aperture. So I'm gonna, in fact, rather than searching this way, I could just search for 300D. That's what they are. So it'll be in there somewhere. Cool. So I'm gonna put two of them on. And with the lights, you can change the power strength they're at. So right now, that's at 100, that's at 53. So I could label one of these differently and change that to 53, 54, 53. And now it's gonna figure out the power draw those items are having. And don't get tripped up if you see that an aperture 300D has 350 watts. That's because there's more power being drawn than maybe is being pushed. So it's all about the power draw, right? Now, that's lights, and there's a whole bunch of lights in here. There's also sound, and sound can be done in a few different ways, right? In the sense that we've got our mixer, and from there, all the mixers at the minute, the way they are kind of measured, if I just clear that, let's get rid of that. With the sound, the mixer, when it gives off phantom power, it's taking more power from it. So at the minute, because manufacturers are not actually great at giving you the information you need to do a 100% accurate power draw, because it's tricky, things are changing all the time. So currently, they're set to be, actually, they are just determining based off the fact that all inputs are putting out 48 volts of phantom power. Now again, maybe that'll change, right? This is V1, a beta version, and that's why it's cheaper at the minute than it will be. But I've got a Zoom F8, so I can put one of them on. And what I've also got, I'm wearing here, and so you have to remember these are separate, right? If you're using something like a Hollyland Lark Max 2, where they're their own power source, you would need to find that as well, which they are in here somewhere. I'll find them and then I'll move on. There we go. And let's put them both on. Did I put the mixer on? I did not. Now the thing is, these little dots up the top, they tell you how many items you've got, and going up is how many of one item you have. So the reason the lighting has two going up is because I've got two aperture 300Ds. If you were gonna just go from outside, then you could just turn off all of those lights at the same time. So that's quite nice and easy. So that's my sound, that's my lighting. The other things that need to be thought about is actually your like production base. And this is where I have production devices. Again, there's always a bit of a trickiness in the sense that computers are changing their power draw depending on what they're doing. But that's why there's two options in here. There's like a light work and a heavy work. And that way, if you're color grading, then you know it's a really heavy work, you can put it on that. Or if you're just doing like emails and maybe it's a bit lighter, you can put it on the lighter one. So, you know, if this is a Mac M4 Pro, just doing light admin work, put that on, and now that's recording as well. And in here, it will actually, in storage devices, wherever that is, you could also pick an SSD, right? So an SSD is taking a bit more power there. Okay, and the last thing, just to kind of, well, I'll come to that in a minute. If I was to go into battery mode, so with a battery tells you, the airplane, I'm going to push on. So 135 watt hour battery, right? You could find that here. So you could log your batteries, you could come up and you could pick from all the manufacturers and you could find the one. Now I've actually not got a 135 watt hour battery on here yet, so I can add it myself. In the pro tier of this, I could go in and I could add that battery. But the thing to understand is that your batteries, it's either battery or equipment, right? So there's no point tracking the batteries and then the camera the battery is going on because you're basically tracking the same thing twice. A bit different with like the lights and things that are going to be plugged into the wall. So maybe you're tracking them on equipment and then you're tracking your cameras on your batteries. And there is like AA's and things on here as well. It's just about understanding you're only tracking the power once for each thing. And the way I think of it is the battery mode is more useful if you're like a solo cam op, you know you're going out with 4 V-Lock batteries, versus the equipment mode, which is more like I am a sustainability coordinator on a big set. So that's kind of how you can like log your power throughout the day. But there's other things, if you're doing a BAFTA Albert report, you have to include, such as your kind of fashion costume or your rubbish from your food catering, and all of that is in here as well. So if you wanted to log a meal and put in if it's a vegan or beef meal, for instance, then it will tell you the carbon emissions from that. And these are mapped out to align with the BAFTA Albert categories and all the same sources they've used. So it should line up perfectly. And because basically, if you don't know what the BAFTA Albert thing is, on feature films, on TV shows, on BFI funded shorts, as I learned, there is a requirement to do a BAFTA Albert report. And actually a lot of film schools now and universities as well. The problem is there's not been a way to track it until now. So hopefully this helps fix that problem. But in here, I understand sometimes it's not quite as easy as going, okay, well, I'll go into the kitchen and in the kitchen there will be all these perfect list of ingredients laid out for me. So in a pinch, what you could do is it's just an average here. It's not like super accurate because it's based from 2018, a general supermarket carrier bag. It's going to be different, right? But if you are not able to track all the items perfectly, or you haven't got a catering team where you can go in and say, oh, we had, 5 lunches and this was what was in them, you can just have my breakfast purchase, my carrier bag weighed 2 kilograms, put that in, and then it will add that up for you. And I know what it's like on an indie film set, that tends to be the way it goes. Then with the drinks, you've got like different types of milk that you can put in, so cow's milk or almond milk, and it will tell you a bit about that, like why it's good, why it's not so good. And you can just kind of make your way through here, right? But there's travel, there's accommodation, there's paper usage, there's all of that. The last thing then is if you've finished, right, and you've actually done something good on that day, let's say you've donated some food waste, you can pop it in here and then it will kind of put that into the report. So I'm done, I'm gonna stop all, I'm gonna end the day, and then I will have my nice report that tells me all the information I need, and I can have a full in-depth breakdown. And when I've done all of that, I come back to my project. So you see I've got like day 1, still got another day to do. And this is my project dashboard where I could prep the days in terms of like call times. I could do a green memo, which is a requirement for BAFTA Albert. And I can build my own kit list before a shoot and then save it and then just turn up, load it in, all done. And if you really want, you can add and track in some of that computing time done in pre and post-production, as well as AI usage. If you're using AI, then just log in that as well. So yeah, so you finish your project and then you can actually go to offset. So, I'm in environment, can't see all of them, but like lots of green plants and things. It's good to give back. So in here, there are 3 links to different ways and places that you can offset your carbon emissions. They take you to like a website with different projects, or you can just log your volunteering that you're doing, and you can find ones local to you. So for instance, I'm in the Southeast, it will pop up Southeast things to volunteer for. And then when you're done, you go ahead and you wrap and you do a final report, and it will give you your final report. And that there is Latitude Footprint. And I should say, I'm also not just doing the app, I've also launched an online film school, sort of. It's basically just like one nice place for all my YouTube videos about filmmaking and some blogs. So yeah, I hope you enjoy all of that. The app comes in 3 price points. There's a free one, it's very limited, but it gives you enough to like experiment and explore. There's an indie one, which is for those of you more likely going to be director DP yourselves and just want to do something a bit better for the environment. And then there's a pro version, which is for people who are going to go on a set and just focus on sustainability. Obviously, I'm in the early beginnings of this, so it'll be a cheaper price, and I'm going to keep building it out. So I'm also kind of going to take whatever, anything kind of data you can give me to keep improving the accuracy, because manufacturers are not the best at it, but I'm trying. So yeah, thanks for watching.